Cottonwood Mayoral candidates on the July 30th primary election ballot and hosted by the Greater Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters of Northern Arizona. My name is Mary Shaquan, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters and your moderator for this forum this evening. The League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization, envisions a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. The League of Women Voters is an organization fully committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in principle and in practice. Tonight's forum is being videotaped by the Group Independent for broadcasting on YouTube and other social media outlets. The purpose of this forum is to hear from candidates on why they want to be Cottonwood's mayor. It is also an opportunity for candidates to answer questions submitted by the voters to the Chamber of Commerce prior to this forum. The goal of this forum is fairness, civility, and engagement. I would like to introduce our timekeeper, Dave Gersner. Her role is to keep us on time. She has 3 signs, a 1-minute sign, a 30-second sign, and a stop sign, which will be directed to the candidates as they're answering their questions. The forum is in 3 parts. We will have opening remarks. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves to the audience. They will also have 2 minutes to answer a question provided by the League of Women Voters. Part 2 is questions submitted by you, the voters. The Chamber solicited questions from the public prior to the forum. These questions have been compiled and organized for the moderator to ask at the forum. We received far more questions than time allows this evening, so please contact the candidates personally if your question is not answered. Part 3 is closing statements. Candidates will have 1 minute to make final comments. As we get started, I also want to go over the guidelines for this forum. The moderator's role is to manage the forum fairly for the candidates and the audience, with the goal of keeping the discussion moving forward. We ask 4 things of the candidates. Be respectful of each other's points of view, speak your mind freely, do not engage in personal attacks, and do not interrupt one another. The audience is asked to refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or non-support for the candidates and their comments. Time limits on responses to questions will be strictly observed. The moderator will have the responsibility for enforcing those time limits. If these guidelines are not adhered to by the candidates and the audience, the moderator will adjourn the forum. Now I would like to introduce the candidates running for Cottonwood Mayor. They are Michael Matthews and Ann Shaw. The candidates will speak in an order drawn prior to the forum. We will rotate the order of answering the questions, with closing statements being reversed from the opening statements. So we will begin with Ann and her opening statement. She has 2 minutes to introduce herself to the audience and address. When did you move to the community and why? Why are you running for office and why are you the best candidate? What is your experience serving in public office in the municipality, as a volunteer, and in your career that prepares you to serve in this position? If an incumbent, what was your experience prior to being elected? Ann.
Hi. Hi. Is this on?
Should be on.
Can you hear me? Here we go. Hi, my name is Ann Shaw. I grew up in a small town in Greensburg, Indiana. I moved to Cottonwood 31 years ago after living in Phoenix, where life was becoming more hectic. I was determined to return to the relative peace and safety of small town life, and Cottonwood ticked all the boxes for me. The mountain, the river, the trees, the neighborhoods, and enough amenities to make life easy and comfortable. I knew as soon as I saw the town that it was where I wanted to be, but it took major shifts in circumstances and several years to get here. My mother and I bought houses next door to each other and have been here ever since. I feel deep gratitude and satisfaction knowing that this is where I belong. That is my foundational reason for running for mayor. I've become a part of this community, which has accomplished so much in the time that I've been here and has so much potential to continue to grow and thrive. I, along with many other residents, believe that some members of the current council have failed in their duty to promote the city's best interests. Initially, I felt compelled to offer my services to bring focus back to the city's business. But through the campaign process, I've discovered how interesting and exciting it is to see the great work that is being done in our community. In terms of experience, I've proven myself to be a capable and innovative leader. I've been a teacher for more than 30 years and was a founder and the director of alternative charter high schools, where I served as governing board president, providing guidance to both staff and students, while working cooperatively with the Department of Education in managing the school's assets. I also served on the Cottonwood Parks and Recreation Commission for 20 years, during which the recreation center was designed and built.
Thank you. Mike?
Good evening. So I moved to the Verde Valley 20 years ago. I've been living in Cottonwood for about 6.5 years. I got interested in local government and politics in 2016, and I wanted to support a candidate to run for council. It's difficult. You can't find anybody to run for council. So at the time, I figured if I felt that important about it, I should run myself. I did spend 2 years going almost every single council meeting before running for council and being elected in 2018. I served through 2022, a full term. It was a phenomenal year. We did great things. We moved the city of Cottonwood forward financially. It was great. We had a great team. It was very rewarding. And at the end of 2022, I decided not to run, and I decided I retired at the same time. I built probably 24 custom homes in the Verde Valley. I've probably bought, rehabbed, and sold 60 homes in the Verde Valley, and that's what I did. It was very rewarding. I love local government. I've been involved with it for 7 years. So last year was a very tumultuous year. If you watched, I watched too, and I'm sure since you're here, you were paying attention. It was tumultuous. It was a mess. I had a lot of people from the organization, City Cop, would call me, beg me, please come in. We have an opening coming up. That was Jackie Nairn's. We need leadership. We need help. And I agreed. I said I will come in, and if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go ahead and run for Cottonwood in 2024. And we did great. That we've cleaned things up. We put people back in their lane. And you're going to hear a lot of rhetoric about council not getting along. It's done. It's over. We've taken care of what we needed to take care of. Whistleblowers and truth tellers aren't always popular, but it's what we're going to do. We're going to stay on principle. If something needs to be addressed, we're going to address it, no matter how distasteful it is. But that is gone, and you'll see that. And we will move forward, and it's going to be great. So I just appreciate the opportunity to run for the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mike, you'll be up for the next question. And this is 2 minutes. It's from the League of Women Voters of Northern Arizona. As the Verde Valley continues to grow, what does growth look like to you in Cottonwood? Specifically, tell us what you plan to do in your elected role.
What growth looks like in Cottonwood is slow, steady, and smart. And that's a good thing. If you don't grow, you die economically. You have to have growth. The good news is we're not growing very fast. We're not growing very large. We have 12,500 people in town right now. 24 years ago, we had 1,000 less. So in 24 years, we've only grown by 1,000 residents. By 2060, that's 36 years in the future, we'll grow. It's projected we'll grow by another 1,600 residents in Cottonwood. That's 73 a year. I think we can do that, and that is slow, steady, and smart. So we're not going to be Anthem. We're not going to be Prescott Valley. I hear that a lot. I know people want to shut the door and they don't want any growth. We need growth. We have to have growth, and it's going to happen whether we want it or not. But I think those numbers are very encouraging. We're going to grow slowly. We're going to grow smartly, and Cottonwood's going to move forward. I think in 36 years, I'm not going to be here. Most of you are going to be gone too. Thank you.
Mike, I need you to talk into the microphone.
Sorry. Did everybody hear this? So yeah, so basically we are going to grow very slowly. Another 72 people per year over the next 36 years, 1,600 total. It really, we're not growing out of our seams. We've got plenty of land, we've got plenty of resources, and it's going to be done well. The general plan is basically the blueprint for that, and we've done it. So the city of Cottonwood is positioned for good steady economic growth and healthy growth for the future. And I'm done.
Thank you. Ann?
I expect Cottonwood to continue to grow in the same cautious and measured way that it has been. Residents seem to be interested in having some more options in terms of shopping and healthcare, but do not want to sacrifice our history and small-town character. With this understanding in mind, as mayor, I will be considering the recommendations of the city manager, community development, and planning and zoning to determine the viability and suitability of proposed projects on a case-by-case basis to be sure that they are in keeping with the character and culture of Cottonwood while providing added value to the city and its residents.
Thank you. And you'll be up next for this next question. It's 1 minute, and it relates to the general plan. What is your familiarity with Cottonwood's proposed general plan? Did you participate in the plan development? And what topics do you feel are the most important to address?
I have taken a quick look at I'm much more familiar, unfortunately, with the old general plan, which goes on for about 300 pages. The new general plan looks really great to me. The topics that are covered make perfect sense. And I'm just like everybody else. I mean, I know we're going to say this over and over, but one of the most important aspects of the new plan, just as the old one, is housing. Affordable housing is a crucial aspect in any kind of economic development that we're going to look at in the future. You can't have new businesses if there's nowhere for the people who are going to work in them to live. And so it becomes a vicious cycle. And is it going to be an aspect of if you build it, they will come? To some degree, that may be true. But we have to take a lot into consideration.
Thank you. Mike?
So the general plan, as I said, is a 5-year blueprint on how we see the growth in the city. I'm very familiar with it. I was on council when we created the current one and was involved with the amendments that we have moving forward with the new one. So the three most critical issues: water resources, housing, and economic development. And we are, we're well situated in all of those things. We have the best water attorneys in the state. We have the best water resource manager in the state, and working on the water adjudication. So we're in good position with that. Housing, there's only so much we can do. We do have, next Tuesday, watch, Ordinance 748. We are going to be incentivizing affordable housing. There's not a lot government can do, but we do what we can. Economic development is probably the next one. We've got a great economic development director, and we've got a great development services department. So I think we're well set. Cottonwood is in really, really good shape with these things. We're doing good things. Very proud of it.
Thank you. The next question will be 1.5 minutes. It's on the council and manager role. The selection of a new city manager is a critical decision that can significantly impact our city's future. What qualifications and characteristics are most important in the new city manager? How will you ensure the selection process is transparent, inclusive, and reflective of the diverse needs and values of our community? And what is your understanding of the council manager role of government?
So the council manager form of government, quite simple, and you heard it from all the candidates here. They got a pretty good idea of what that is. So we are the legislative branch. We basically dictate the policy, and the city manager carries it out. He is the go-between between the staff, the city organization, and council. So we give him the direction. He implements it. Last year, things kind of got sideways as far as that goes. When I came on in 2018, we did hire a city manager. I was involved in that process. It was phenomenal. We had a great city manager. We lost him to Avondale. The first round before I got off of council last year didn't work out well. I got off of council. They went back a second time, and as you saw, that didn't work out well. So I'm looking forward to going through that process again. We're going to make it slow. As you see, city managers have come and gone into Verde Valley. It's like changing clothes every day recently. Last year, we saw almost every single community turn over their city manager. So we're going to take it slow, we're going to take it smart, and we're not in a hurry. We want to see how those city managers work out in those communities, and we are going to step up what we pay for a city manager. I think those on council that I talked to have agreed that we just need to step up and pay more. We need better than what we got, and it's very competitive out there. So we're going to be moving through that process. The city is very much involved in it. We bring in the community members, we bring in stakeholders from the businesses, and help us vet those. So we don't just make that decision outside of the community.
Thank you. Ann?
It's going to be really important to be able to solicit enough interest in the position and be able to vet candidates in a thorough way, understanding their backgrounds and where they're coming from, what their qualifications really are, and discuss those in committee. Who we select should not be limited, I don't think, to the city council alone. I think we need input from a variety of sources. The council form of government has been described, although I will say that I think of it in more collaborative terms. If I'm elected mayor, I think I'm going to have to work with the city manager to understand what's going on from the departments, rather than just sitting above it and dictating policy. I think it's necessary for the mayor, especially, to be the key person to collaborate with the city manager, who will then be bringing the information from each of the departments in order to set priorities so that policies can be developed and set.
Thank you. The next question is 1 minute. It is council civility. As the mayor, how do you plan to foster collaboration among city council members when there are differences in positions and priorities? What is your understanding of how the call to the public should be handled? And how would you foster a welcoming environment during the call to the public at council meetings?
In the council meetings that I have attended, I feel like the public is being welcomed. I have noticed that sometimes people seem to feel like they are not being heard because they're not being responded to. But unfortunately, the limitation is open meeting law. If it's not possible, if it's not on the agenda, then we're not in a position to respond to it. So that makes it difficult. But I think, yes, I think there are ways to, Lindsay was suggesting a method for circumventing that, in which, it can be split out and there can be questions and answers, and possibly in addition to the format of the meeting.
Thank you, Mike.
I think Helene Carrot hit on that really strongly, is communication. So right now, for months, the current mayor has completely cut off communication to several council members. We need to talk. I think there's even people in this room know that I will sit down and talk with anybody, and I have. All you have to do is ask. Communication is key, and as far as the call to the public goes, it's like walking into a courtroom. You may not like the judge, but you respect the bench and you obey the rules. So the rules have not been enforced for well over a year. It's caused chaos in front of council. And if you've been paying attention, you've been coming to council meetings, you've seen it. And the chaos has got to stop. The rules need to be enforced. You can't be afraid of criticism. You can't be in leadership and be afraid to be criticized for enforcing the rules because you might offend somebody. So I think it's going to be much better. Things are going to turn around very quickly.
Thank you. Mike, this is 1 minute on budgeting. What is the biggest challenge that Cottonwood faces as it relates to budgeting, and how would you address that challenge?
The budget's not the biggest challenge in the budget is understanding municipal budgeting. But we have some good people. They explain it very well. We go through a long process of meetings so that when council does come together to approve it, we've already had our questions and answers gone through, and the budget is tweaked accordingly. So it's been a very good process that's been progressively getting better since I was on council in 2018. Cottonwood's in a great position. We have great revenues. We've got a good budget. If you know that when I was in council, every one of us was a tight one. We look at the budget. We agonize over the budget. We don't just rubber stamp it. So I believe everybody on council now is pretty much a tight one, and I would imagine all those new council members coming on are also going to be. They are the citizen representatives and the gatekeepers on the budget, but we are in good financial shape, and I'm very proud of being in that position.
Thank you. Ann?
As far as I can understand it, the budget is very well constructed. There really aren't issues with the process itself. The budgeting process has been effective for a very long time. I have spoken with the director of finance, and I understand the effort that goes into it. And yes, it includes the council, certainly. It would be wonderful if there were a little more revenue to add to that budget. I think there are lots and lots of projects that we would love to address, but we can't because our revenue stream is limited. And so that would be something to look at, to look for, and to consider new possibilities in the near future.
Thank you. The next question is 1 minute, and it's use of public buildings. Ann, you will be up first. Public buildings are valuable community assets, and their use for events can greatly benefit the community. What policies would you implement or support to ensure the fair, equitable, and efficient rental of public buildings for community events? How would you balance the needs of different groups while maintaining accessibility and affordability?
The use of public buildings, and mainly we're talking about this building, and we're talking about the rooms at the recreation center. It took years to establish having spaces that the community can use for a variety of events. Maintaining that is important. I do agree with Bob Marks, who said that he would follow the law. Yeah, there are limits to what we can legislate in a rented space, but I think that having the space available, and I'm not concerned if it's rented or free, I just want to know that there are community spaces available so that we can have events like this without having to go to the high school gym or some other venue that is really not set up for an open community event.
Thank you. Mike?
So right now, the city of Cottonwood is having to get very creative on how we use our space. We need a new city hall. We need at least 30,000 square foot. It's not happening. It's not happening anytime soon in the near future. We have buildings over here that are falling apart, and we need to get out of Old Town, and we need parking. We need to use that space over there in these buildings next door for something better. And what we're looking at right now you see we've already moved council chambers over to the Riverfront White Wastewater Treatment Plant and use that facility. We don't make money. We lose money renting city buildings. So what we're looking at on this one, right now we're kind of exploring making this into a museum for our community, for our visitors, to show off the different aspects of Cottonwood and to bring the Chamber of Commerce in, and this would be also their visitor center, and I think that's a great collaboration there. Their building's falling down and falling apart over there. The youth building, the teen center behind us, they need to be condemned and torn down, and we're going to try to find space for them. So until we find space and get that city hall we need and consolidate that, that's what we're stuck with.
Thank you. The next question is on zoning. It's 1 minute. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why? Mike?
Right now, I wouldn't change anything, but I think you heard previously, we're constantly changing things. Our economic development department is constantly looking at our ordinances and our zoning. They're constantly bringing suggestions back, tweaking them, making them better. And as you heard, we're also going to be doing something for incentivizing affordable housing next Tuesday. So we're constantly working on that and bringing those things about. What we need is local control. The state would like to take over control of our zoning and eliminate single-family housing, and we can't let that happen. And so there was 9 months last year that the development services actually, no department was able to get anything done. They weren't able to bring anything to council. The city organization basically just stopped. There was no progress. Since we took care of that issue, they've been on it again. And really, I think one of our finest departments is probably our development services department. And they're doing great things. So right now, there's nothing to change, but I'm sure they'll be bringing us something very soon to consider.
Thank you. Ann?
I have seen the presentation from Gary Davis in the Community Development Office regarding changes to amendments, allowing the possibility of changing setbacks, changing parking, as Felicia mentioned earlier. You know, changes to the zoning are taking place. Amendments to the zoning ordinances are being amended now. And it is, as Lindsay mentioned too, she's planning and zoning. I'm not there. She's, you know, I take it her word for it that things are changing continuously, depending on what the project might be. So I don't have anything to change. I appreciate the amendment process that we've just been going through, and it makes sense to me. We're looking at, you know, ADUs and other possibilities for land use that haven't been considered before.
Thank you. The next question is 1 minute, and it's on advocacy. As mayor, how do you envision your role in advocating for our city's interests at both the state and federal levels? What specific strategies or initiatives do you plan to pursue to ensure Cottonwood's concerns are effectively represented and addressed in broader policy discussions?
I see a broad need to connect with nearly every agency that can be of benefit to Cottonwood. There are so many to choose from. The League of Towns and Cities is something that comes to mind foremost. NACOG is also very important to us. I want to be able to connect with the people of the county, the county supervisors, our state representatives too are people that we need to connect with in an important way. There are just so many agencies and people out there, and I've already met with a lot of local people, a lot of really good local organizations that are doing great work in our community. And I want to continue to connect locally and beyond.
Thank you. Mike?
So county, state, and federal level. So we're a small community. Small communities get passed over. Okay, they don't look at us. They don't pay any attention to us. The higher you go, the less significant we are. So you have to be vocal. As you see, I have no problem speaking up, telling people of our problems, and trying to get things done. So I look forward to those. As the mayor has a lot more connections to those than the city council does. It looks like we're going to have, at least in our district in the county, we're going to have a local resident for sure, and hopefully in District 2 we'll have that. At the state level, like I said, we have representatives, and they're always wanting to hopefully meet with us, but we have to be proactive. So I'm looking forward to those avenues, which will open up, and being mayor and being able to reach out to those state and federal legislators and kind of be the squeaky wheel, because you have to do that when you're a rural community to get noticed. So that'll be fun.
Thank you. Mike, you'll be first on this. This is a 2-minute question, and it's on partnerships and collaboration. Many of the city's issues involve the participation of outside entities and organizations. What are the top 3 most critical partners and why? And how will you build partnerships with these entities that often affect the residents' quality of life?
3 of them. So that would be our local Chamber of Commerce. We both have the same thing in mind as far as economic development and success of our businesses, and we do partner significantly with the Chamber of Commerce. That is very much appreciated. They do a great job, and our economic development director works very closely with them, and I love that relationship. The next one would be our neighboring communities. We're one big community. Now we have different governments, we have different geographic areas, but we need to work together. The Verde Valley is one community, and those are very important partners. We rely on them, they rely on us. We have a lot of crossover. Our bus system and things like that. NACOG is another very important one. And NACOG is important because what it does is it goes back to the federal government, pulls a lot of those taxes we give to the federal government and brings them back to our local northern Arizona communities. So there's a lot of good things that they do. It's unfortunate that we have to go and beg to get our money back. I think it should stay here and not come with federal strings attached, but that's what we have, and they're very good at going after those dollars. So I think those are three of the most important collaborative efforts we have within our community.
Thank you, Mike. Ann?
Well, I may have jumped the gun at the last question because I think I've already answered this. But yeah, I do see that NACOG is a terribly important partner for us. We have to connect with them in order to work within this region. And yes, I agree too that we also need to be connected with the other local municipalities to work together, especially when it comes to issues of housing. Housing is an issue that is across our region. Everybody is looking at that. Camp Verde is looking at that. Clarkdale is. And Sedona especially, they have a number of issues that they're trying to address. So we want to be able to work with other municipalities. A third, there are so many. ADOT is also an important part of the collaboration that we have to have, so that we can get the money that we need to maintain roads, maintain issues of transportation.
Thank you. The next question is 1 minute, and it's on local control. Ann? We have seen a growing trend at the state level to disempower local governments and tie our hands regarding things like short-term rentals, cellular towers, local zoning, local sales taxes, and more. What do you feel is the best way to handle this going forward?
We're going to have to find ways to collaborate with our own state representatives, or the other possibility is to begin voting some of them out of office. What is going on with the legislature dictating to small towns and cities like ours is not helpful and not working. We need to loosen that grip and have some autonomy for ourselves to make decisions regarding what's best for our community rather than being told what we can and can't do. I'm not quite sure why the legislature is interfering to the degree that it is, but it's also having an impact on revenues. And we're going to have to find ways to connect with them better.
Thank you. Mike?
Local control is always better. When it comes to school districts, when it comes to local legislatures and communities and cities and towns, it's always better. We have an advocate in the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. They very much advocate on our behalf with the state for our local control. You have things like short-term rentals. Short-term rentals really affects Sedona, not so much Cottonwood, but it could affect us, and it may. Those things that the state has tied our hands. The state would love to dictate our zoning, our building zoning. I think we know better on how to build and where to build and what we want for zoning and how to build our community. So, yeah, we need to fight for that. We cannot give up local control. And once you lose it, they don't relinquish it. So I don't believe anybody in Maricopa County knows how to do things better around here than we all do.
Thank you. Mike will be up next on this one. It is 1.5 minutes, and it is on regional endeavors. Cities, towns, and the Yavapai Apache Nation in the Verde Valley work together in regional and statewide collaborations for such endeavors as emergency services, regional economic development, transportation, tourism, tourism marketing, outdoor recreation, etc. What role should Cottonwood council members and the mayor have in regional initiatives, and what collaborative actions would you support?
So the mayor is the figurehead of Cottonwood. So they're directly involved. They're the ones that are going and meeting with the other mayors, the other councils, and actually collaborating personally with those. Council, not so much. Council's job should be to support those people we have. So we've got a great staff. Like I said, we've got a great economic development and tourism director, and she makes the rounds with the Chamber of Commerce, with the other local communities. So we have really, really good collaboration with our local communities. It is our job to support those people and to give them the resources they need to make that happen. We are the economic hub of the Verde Valley, so we provide bus service to Clarkdale, we provide bus service to Jerome, to Sedona, and we've got a great relationship with it. We don't pay for it all, they contribute to that. Most of it is federally funded. So I'm very much looking forward to collaborating with those people and being involved at a higher level than what your general council member is. So it's very important, and like I said, we're all one big community and we need to work together. And I think that's been going very well. I think there's been great collaboration, and we just need to keep that moving forward.
Thank you. Ann?
Yeah, I've been very interested to see the connection made, especially for emergency services, having a single central dispatch center. I've seen our dispatch center, it's really pretty awesome. And to have all of the local communities working through that is a really important step forward. Other collaborations are, yes, have to do with outdoor amenities, working together with them to provide recreational opportunities, to talk to them about connections of trails, bike routes, all kinds of things, along with, yes, transportation is one of the more important things that we do share. Our transportation system is centralized here in Cottonwood. So, yeah, the collaborations have been established and will continue to work together.
Thank you. The next question is 1.5 minutes, and it is on water. Water is an important resource in Arizona. Cottonwood has worked on projects designed to preserve the Verde River. Talk about your concerns regarding priorities around water resources, particularly regarding growth in the area. How would you reduce and reuse water? What do you feel is Cottonwood's biggest challenge as it relates to our water and sewer systems, and how would you address it? Ann's up first.
I believe that Cottonwood has done a really good job, actually, of managing water resources, with maybe a rather large glaring exception. But our wastewater treatment plant is functional and producing A+ water. It is being reused. Some of it, I guess, is just being discharged into the wash. Perhaps it could be reused in a more effective way. But no, Cottonwood has a pretty good handle on its water resources, and a lot of water usage has been reduced over the years. There's partly because there's less agricultural use, I believe, but also because of less residential use as well. And even though we've gone through this long drought period, we are not in a place where we're actually hurting for water or being told, that we're under severe or critical restrictions in terms of water. We have enough water. We're doing well, and we do have opportunities to improve the water surface that we have here. But I'm unaware that we're in a negative position in terms of water and its use.
Thank you.
Anna's right, we have plenty of water. This is a subject that I'm really, really fascinated with. I've been deep into for the last 7 years. And we are blessed like no other community in Arizona. We have a huge ocean of water underneath us. And about 135,000 acre feet naturally comes into that reservoir, that aquifer that we have under us every year. Every well in the Verde Valley takes out about 14,000 acre feet. So 135 coming in, 14 leaving. At full build out, we might double that. And that's for the whole the whole community. So we have not used any more water now than we did 20 years ago. Our conservation efforts are phenomenal. We've grown. It's not just 1,000 have come into the city of Cottonwood. You got to remember, we also service people out in Cornville and the Verde Villages. So we've done a phenomenal job with that. With the water adjudication, like I said, we've got the best attorneys, the best water resource manager here. Nobody's fighting over quantity of water. We have plenty of water. They're just fighting over who it belongs to. As far as the water adjudication goes, that's been going on since 1974. We're going to probably fight it out for the next 20 or 25 years, but we're making progress. Recently, we've been making real good progress. You talk about collaboration efforts with the Yavapai Apache Nation, with SRP, and we basically have agreements with them. They're hopefully going to go to Congress and get approved, but we still have a long battle ahead to the courts and with the federal government for our water. And it's not about a limited quantity of water.
Thank you. The next question is 1 minute. Mike, it will be up to you first. Economic development is vital to the sustainability of any community. What priorities in the recently completed economic development study resonate the most with you? How will you support economic development and build small business growth in Cottonwood?
That was a very large, very fascinating amount of statistics. So it was interesting. So Friday, about 11 o'clock, I was up at Merkins up there. And you got to remember, it's hot. It's summer. It was over 100 degrees. And I saw people floating around trying to find a parking place. Economic development is very, very healthy here. We've got people. All we can do is continue to keep doing what we're doing to support our businesses, to not be an impediment. So government, we can't, a lot of people misunderstand. They think that we recruit, they think we approve these businesses that come in. I know you don't necessarily want another burger joint, but that's private property. They want to come in, they want to build a Burger King, that's what we've got. It's our job to stay out of the way and not be an impediment, and we're doing a very good job with that. So we're very healthy economically. Businesses are growing. Hopefully businesses will grow, make more money, pay their employees better, and then maybe they can afford some of the housing around here.
Thank you. Ann?
The watchword that we keep using when we talk about economic development is sustainability, and sustainability can mean a lot of different things. It means, different things to different people. But what we want to do, as we develop, we're going to develop things. Things are going to continue to expand and grow. But we want to be mindful of the types of businesses that we want here. We want them to be able to come in and stay. We want them to be something that people will want, not just for a few minutes, but now and in the future. And that is sustainability, a business that can come and become a part of our community, something that we all enjoy, that tourists may enjoy it as well, but those of us who live here will also have the opportunity to avail ourselves of its services.
Thank you. The next question is a minute and a half. It's on revenue generation. The future growth of Cottonwood's services, events, and lifestyle is closely linked to taxable sales. How do you propose to increase revenues in Cottonwood? Do you have a plan for adding retail business? Ann?
Yes, the plan for, it's not my personal plan. The economic plan that the city has developed is one which will inevitably add retail businesses. I know this is an issue of interest to a lot of people locally. They want new kinds of places to shop in. They would like, some people would really like to see some big box stores here. But as Michael mentioned, it's not up to us. We don't get to recruit businesses. So we are going to be open and inviting and hopeful that people will want to set up businesses here. As this process continues, it will go through community development and planning and zoning, and decisions will be made and will come back to City Council, and it will be possible for us to say what comes in and what stays out. But yes, there's a plan, that it is planned for.
Thank you, Mike.
A little redundant, but basically the plan is to keep going down the path we have and stay out of the way people that want to come in and open up businesses. We have a very large entrepreneurial spirit here, so most of our businesses are one-off local people who are sticking their neck out, and it's great to see so many of them succeed. During the economic downturn, you saw we had a lot of storefronts closed. We had a lot of empty places. It's filling up. It's doing very well. Very encouraged by that. So, like I said, as far as government goes, it's customer service. Stay out of the way. Don't be an impediment. But again, we have great staff. We have great people. Our economic development director, again, I'm just going to comment in the background. We have very good people. The Chamber of Commerce is also partnered with us. So again, it's just a matter of keeping those things going, and we're in good shape. Cottonwood's in very good shape. So I'm very happy with it, very proud.
Thank you. The next question is 1 minute, and it's on the airport. Airport use and noise has been increasing significantly over the last couple of years. How do you plan to work collaboratively with our neighboring communities to address this issue?
If I could, I would wave a magic wand and make it go away. I really would. I understand it's an issue. I sit up on the mountain and I watch it and I hear it every day. And I watch it circle back and forth. I am on the working group for the airport noise, and there's not a lot we can do. Our hands are tied by the federal government. We cannot dictate air operations. We can't stop it. So the Torrance Airport, the city council basically banned touch and goes. And the federal government came and said you can't do that, it's illegal. The airport in Santa Monica is trying to close. They might actually get to close that airport in 2 or 3 years. They've been working on it for 40. That's what it takes. So our hands are tied. Basically, most of our efforts are with Embry-Riddle University and hoping to encourage them, and their board has already approved moving forward. It's just very beginning stages on building a training facility on the other side of the mountain. So we do support that and encourage it.
Thank you. Ann?
I've talked to a few people about the airport noise issue as well, and I do understand their concerns, and my response has to pretty much be the same thing. I think that it's possible to compromise. I think that it's possible to negotiate with Embry-Riddle. People say, well, what about, can we do landing fees? Well, that sounds kind of good, but I don't think it actually solves the problem. Just because we charge a fee doesn't mean that they're going to stop doing it. The only way that we're going to be able to enlist any kind of cooperation with them is through negotiations. So those people who want to yell loudly and complain bitterly may not get the job done. I think we may have to take a more measured tone and go from there and see what we can get done.
Thank you. The next question is 1.5 minutes, and it's on the strategic plan. Cottonwood reviews its strategic priorities annually. What elements of the plan resonate with you the most? What is your commitment to strategic planning for the community going forward?
To address the first part, I'm absolutely all in on that. That is the job. That's what I want to do. As mayor, I want to move our strategic plans forward. What resonates most with me, I guess, is Parks and Recreation. As I mentioned briefly, I was on the Parks and Rec Commission for about 20 years, and we made wonderful master plans, and I'm still waiting for them to be realized. It's that way with a lot of projects. There are a lot of wonderful things have been done in the city, but there's still a lot of park planning that needs to be realized. It's still just sitting there waiting to get done. So, I'm not anticipating becoming mayor so that I can push all of that forward overnight, but I sure would like the opportunity to see, one project at a time maybe, what we can get done to finish out our plans for the riverfront park space.
Mike?
Well, here's where the uncomfortable truth-telling comes in. So the strategic plan makes good questions. It makes good sound bites. It's great to throw out there and talk about. Unfortunately, about the only thing, if you really read it, that it's good for at this moment is for how our staff and our employees deal with the public. So it's basically just a big wish list. We're already starting to talk about making a real strategic. So a real strategic plan is not a wish list. It's looking out 5 years and anticipating problems and issues that you might have, and either making sure those problems don't crop up or addressing them when they do come up. So like I said, basically it's forecasting potential problems and coming up with solutions ahead of time on how to deal with those if those problems come up. So we are going to be working on a real strategic plan soon.
Thank you. And our final question is a minute and a half. Mike, you'll be first. And it's on the top issues. What are the top 3 issues facing Cottonwood in the next 2 years? And how would you meet these challenges? Please be specific. And what resources are needed to address the issues?
So the 3 biggest issues facing us right now are the water resources, housing, and I think one of the biggest ones, because it's allowed us right now, is the airport noise associated with the student training from Embry-Riddle. So as far as working on the resource management, like I said, we're already there. We're doing it. We have, let's say, again, I'm going to beat it into the ground. We've got great people. We've got the best attorneys in the state. We've got the best water resource manager. We are on top of it. We are fighting for our water rights. And we are probably, I know we're already the premier community in the Verde Valley as far as doing that. Housing, and we've hit on that several times. There's only so much government can do, and we're doing what we can do. It's a market issue. It's supply and demand. Government cannot affect the market. Even the federal government has trouble with it. Cottonwood is not going to affect the market. As far as the flight training goes, and we've talked about that, it's just a matter of working with Embry-Riddle. We've begged them, and they only have 4 aircraft. And you're right, if we do charge them landing fees, they've indicated they could send 10 or 12 aircraft over. I don't think either of those solutions is good. The 4 flying around constantly, whether it's 10 or 12 flying around constantly, is annoying. And I understand it's a problem for those people. I don't like it. I don't wish it upon anybody. And like I said, we just need to work with Embry-Riddle to try to come up with some solution regarding that. And I think the best thing right now is pushing forward with that trainings airport out there on the other side of the mountain. But it's going to take time. None of these things happen soon.
Thank you. Anne?
The top 3 issues that I would identify, first of all, is to put together an effective council through your votes so that we can move forward, so that we can work collaboratively together here and get things done. The council members who spoke this evening are people that I have a lot of respect for, and I'm really hoping that they'll have an opportunity to take office soon. I also, yes, see housing as a central issue, realizing that Cottonwood is not just going to be able to fix this, but there are opportunities, that at least things that we can do, and we may be waiting out a negative, a downturn in the economy, inflation being what it is. It's a little bit difficult right now to see a lot of new building happening, but hopefully, little by little, bit by bit, we'll get something done. The third thing that I see as an issue is revenue. I would really like to be able to address how we can bring more revenue into our community so that we can complete some more of the projects that have been on the books for many years.
Thank you. We will now go to closing statements. Closing statements are 1 minute, and we will begin with Mike Matthews.
Thank you. So you've heard a lot of rhetoric about council and how they don't get along, and really what you see and what you hear is 10% of the iceberg sticking up above the water. 90% of that iceberg is below the water. So just be a little cautious when you hear that. It makes good campaigning. It makes good rhetoric and propaganda. But I really, in all this time, I've actually had 2 people reach out to me and ask me about that. Didn't even care to ask, what's really going on? What are the issues? And one of them is in the room right now. The other one was also in a room and has left. So basically what we're going to have, you're going to have a new council. You're likely, statistically, to have 3 new council members. You need somebody with experience. You need somebody that knows how the local government works. You need to know somebody that sat up there and actually even, I was vice mayor for a year and got to sit in that chair for every now and then. So a lot of experience, and I think that's really what's necessary. So just look through the rhetoric, ask questions, and make a good and an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Shaw?
Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters of Northern Arizona and the Greater Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to respond to such thoughtful questions. And thanks to all who came to listen. Hopefully the evening has been useful in providing enough information for everyone to confidently mark and submit their ballots for the July 30th primary. I feel like I am equipped and certainly have the capability of doing an excellent job as mayor of Cottonwood. I did not start out wanting to do this at the beginning of the year. But the further I get into it, as I tried to mention earlier, it's been really fulfilling to meet people in the community and to meet all of the staff, the city staff. It's just amazing. What a wonderful group of people. And what a privilege it would be to be able to help them continue to realize the goals that have been set by their departments and for themselves. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the candidates for being here this evening and for the audience for your attendance and participation. Remember that Election Day is July 30th. Ballots have already been mailed, so you can file your early ballot. Completed ballots can be returned by mail or dropped off at any election location. And please remember, voting is people power. Please vote, and thank you.